So here's the question. As a real estate investor, how do you build a business that you're excited to show up to every day while you constantly grow your stream of passive income that you and your family can depend on for life without having to leave your computer or even live somewhere that houses are affordable? That's the question, and this podcast will give you the answers. Welcome to the Virtual Real Estate Investing Podcast with your host, Brian Elwood.
What's up, guys? Welcome back to the show. Hope everybody's having a good day today. I'm just in the car right now, leaving the coffee shop where I'm working on some pretty cool stuff for you guys. Inside of our membership program, we're going to really be putting kind of a framework together to help you take action and get your financial foundation in place. And that's what I'm actually going to talk about on this episode, because I sort of had an epiphany. Did you know that the average American income is only about $26,000 to $31,000 for a single person? That's it. 30 grand a year is what the average single person's living off of. The average family, it's more like $60,000 or $70,000 a year. But it's not a lot of money. And we're taught that we need to make as much money as possible, right? Sort of the American dream. Everybody wants more than they've got. And that's not going to change. Certainly not here to try and make you think differently about that. The problem with that approach, though, is that as you get more, as you work to earn more income, your expenses go up. It just always happens this way. I mean, there's a few people who are extremely disciplined and they can sort of put their desires to the side and just wear the same old flannel shirts from Goodwill and save their money until they've got $1 million in the bank or whatever. But that's, a pretty difficult thing to do. Most people do not do that. As you get more money, you start to see shiny things around you and you want to buy them. I promise you, it'll happen to you. And the problem with that is that you're never any closer to financial freedom than you were back when you made less money. If you got double the salary or income that you're making today, but you moved into a house that costs twice as much and bought a car that costs twice as much and all of that, you're just as up to your neck in bills as you were in your previous scenario. And that's a big problem, because it's a cycle that never ends. You could be making $500,000 a year, but if you live in a really expensive house and you blow all your money on stuff, and then one day you lose your job, you're going to be in the unemployment line just as soon as anybody else is. I mean, you might have skills, that can transfer to a new job, assuming that the economy is still okay and you can get that job. But it's still a big problem, and it's not necessary, is the overall point. You do not need to ever put yourself in this scenario. In fact, it's my belief that every time anyone earns any money, they should be doing activities with that money to ensure that they are less likely to need to earn money in the future. You need to earn less money in the future. And obviously that activity is to put it into rental properties, because that's what has built my financial foundation, and I can say now that I'm at a place where if I never earned another cent for the rest of my life, I could live off of the revenue that comes in from my portfolio. Now, it would not be a lavish lifestyle. By the time it's net income and I pay all the expenses, we're still talking under 6 figures a year. I feel like maybe it's around 60 or 70 that I'm bringing in off the portfolio. And right now I don't need to spend that because I make earned income through flipping and through coaching and everything else. But let's say all that went away and I had to dip into the rental income that's coming in. It's there for me to do that. The new rock bottom is not zero for me anymore. It's 60 or 70 grand a year, and that's without working. What would I spend all my time doing? Obviously I could work and add to that income, and I would want to, because I'm not the person that would ever just sit around all day. I hate that. And so this episode is not in any ways to brag about that. There's lots of guys that are making way more than that, with their passive income. But to just tell you guys that just getting to that level of passive income, or not even that much, but call it 30 or 40 grand a year, should be goal number one for you. Goal number one should always be to raise your safety net from zero just to something more than that, to where if you did lose your income, you'd still have a little bit of money coming in that you could spend to save you, essentially. And in the industry, we usually estimate that each house we buy should make us about $300 per month in net income. So it might rent for $700, but by the time you pay the mortgage and the insurance and the property manager and all that, maybe you're left with around $300. You'd probably need to rent for more than $700 in that example, to net $300, but on average, that's what we're seeing. So that's $300 a month, $3,600 a year. So if you even only had one rental property and you lost your job, you might not be able to pay your mortgage. You'd have to obviously figure that out. But you would have $300 a month coming in, and that's grocery money right there. So you could still eat while you were figuring things out. And let's say you got another, so you had another $300 a month coming in passively without working. So $600 in total. That's grocery money plus maybe half of your rent, or maybe your car payment, or whatever else you need the $300 for. And can you see where I'm going with this? With each additional property you add to your portfolio, you're building your financial safety net up. And if the average American is living off of 30 grand a year, and let's bump that up because I know that's too low. I think 40 is a good goal to shoot for in passive income. Then you are about 12 houses away from essentially what I'd call financial freedom. If you had 12 rental properties, even if they all had mortgages on them, and you were just making the $300 a month, because if you didn't have a mortgage, you'd make more than $300 net, but we're going to assume you had to leverage them all. You bought them right, you'd be making around $43,000 a year. And another benefit is that you're not paying tax on a big chunk of that, because real estate is a very tax-favored asset. You get to depreciate each property every year. It's, $1,000 or $2,000 a year in write-off. So really, out of the 43, maybe you'd pay tax on 25 of it or something like that, just off the top of my head. So you could basically multiply 25,000 by whatever tax bracket you'd be in, which you'd be in the lowest one if your income was that low. So it's almost like you're making a $50,000 salary or something, or more, when you factor in the tax advantages of making money in that fashion. So, if you owned a dozen rental properties, all leveraged, you'd basically have the income of somebody who made a $50,000 a year salary without working for the rest of your life. Almost as if somebody went out and earned 50 grand a year and just gave you their paycheck every 2 weeks. That's what getting your first dozen houses will do for you. And if you had that, then no matter what happened to you income-wise, it didn't matter if you're an entrepreneur or you're an employee or whatever, you'd be fine. If you live in a big, nice house and have a nice car and you had to go down to making 50 grand a year, you'd have to sell your house or move out of your rental house or sell your car or whatever. You'd have to go get an apartment and buy a used Toyota 4Runner, best car in the world. It's what I'm sitting in right now, and it's probably what I'll drive for my whole life. I love these things. But that wouldn't be so bad, would it? 50 grand a year coming in, you're living in an apartment, driving a 4Runner, you still don't have to work, so you can start over. You know, you can say, what do I want to do with my time, and what am I going to enjoy? Do I want to start a new business? Do I want to go get a job? But you have that 50 grand a year salary essentially coming in, no matter what. And that's the beauty of owning a portfolio of rental houses, is your new rock bottom is not, you know, going to get a job at the grocery store like I did when I ran out of money. But instead, you've got money coming in, enough to pay your bills. And so there's a saying in the industry, when you have enough money coming in from passive income, rentals, to pay your bare minimum expenses that you could get by on, which most people, you know, if you're single, at least you could get by on 50 grand a year. Maybe you have no kids. I understand you're going to have to adjust these numbers if you've got a big family. But there are families in America that get by on that much. They probably all live in a tiny apartment and, you know, have to eat ramen noodles or whatever, but they make it happen. But they don't have to go and sacrifice their dignity and go do something that they hate just to earn a paycheck. They have space where they can calmly make, you know, a good decision for them moving forward. And so the moral of the story here is that you are basically just a dozen houses away from your freedom, your permanent freedom to do whatever you want with your life for the rest of your life. Yes, you'd have to only spend 50 grand a year, you know, in the worst case scenario where no money was coming in from anything else. It was just your little portfolio, 12 houses. But you'd be 100%er, 100% covered by your portfolio. Is that something you want? That's what I'm here to help everyone create. Thank you guys for listening. I hope that inspired you. 12 houses sounds like a lot, but the cool thing is that you don't have to even be able to get a bank loan, nor do you need to have a lot of money to make that happen. If you learn how to analyze the deals and leverage other people's money, you can actually build a portfolio of that size almost as fast as you like. And that's what I'm going to teach you to do. Thank you guys for listening. Have a great day. And just remember, you are just a dozen houses away from your freedom. See you on the next one. Peace.
Want more? Get your free copy of Brian's book that is changing real estate businesses everywhere. Just go to www.fireyourself.net. Also, register for your free virtual real estate investing online masterclass at virtualinvestingclass.com.